Hey, you managed to get invited to Deadlock, but your games are looking like this. But you want them to be more like this. And today I'm going to use my several thousands of hours of MOBA knowledge to help you improve your match experience and start netting you those big kill games. And it all starts at picking a hero that you feel comfortable with. After you've done a few good games, then you should start expanding your selection of heroes so you can learn what each hero has in their toolkit, how their abilities work, and how you can counter them. For example, I know that if I face a pocket, I most likely will end up buying a debuff remover or reduce on the tick effects just to not die from the damage over time. Or maybe I'm facing an Abrams and I need to buy Decay or Heal Spain just to stop them from self-healing. The point is that the more you understand about each of the hero's kit and preferable playstyles, the easier you will have countering and playing around them. So let's move on to the laning phase, which is the first phase of the match. So first, pick a guide. You don't have to follow it completely, but I use them more for an easier item page. Anyways, you are now assigned a lane, and please do not for the love of God use your zipline boost at the start. It has a 300-second cooldown, and the odds of you doing anything even remotely significant with that use is next to nothing. Now when we got that part out of the way, let's talk about the creep farming part. You always want to stay behind your creep waves, because the enemy creeps hurts and they can melt you pretty fast if you get caught lacking. Try not to overdo damage on the creeps except for the finishing shot, or preferably melee attacks, as this removes the chance of your enemy denying the floating soul orb after the creep's death. As for you, try to deny as many orbs as possible. They will have an orange color to them when your creep gets killed, and don't focus too heavy on harassing the enemy hero unless they overextend. Now, getting your lane phase items before your enemy can easily net you that early kill, as you will have more damage and defense to boot. Cause while you're laning, every time a creep wave comes around, the ranged creep will cast a heal on you and the enemy when close enough, which makes small time harassing the enemy hero pointless, when you could have spent those shots on more souls. Once the game hits the 10-minute mark, the shared soul gain of the party is reduced significantly, and if you're laning with a teammate, this is usually when you want to have all your laning items done, so you can move on to either snowballing, jungle creeps, ganking, etc. And now we're done talking about the laning phase, let's talk about the mid game instead. This is perhaps the most important part of the entire game. This will make or break the result of the match, as a good balance between pushing and fighting the enemy team is needed. Because I've seen so many games where we've been losing every team fight but ended up winning the match due to good pushing strategies on the lane, and then it just took one singular lucky team wipe and we won. If you notice that you are dying a lot, don't be afraid to go back to pushing lanes in terms of making souls for yourself. Sometimes the right items like a decay or silence can turn the entire tide of a team fight when used on the enemy giving you the most trouble. Another reason you want to be focusing on pushing lanes is to unlock your flex slots, because playing with no flex slots is certainly an experience, and not a good one at that. But Vermilions, how do I fight the other players? Short answer, get good. Long answer, it's impossible for me to say how you approach every combat situation, as it all depends on what hero you're playing, what heroes you're facing, and what items do you have. What's the net worth on each team? Is one of your teammates watching a YouTube guide like this and not paying attention to the game? All these factors have to be taken into account, but itemization is the key, and if you do good on the laning phase, you're well off into the mid game. But for the love of God, don't chase someone down just because they are low health. If you see their entire team is alive and nowhere on the map, odds are you're walking into a death trap. And now we go into the grand finale, the late game. You've bought your items, you're constantly team fighting, most if not all the walkers are down, and the game has turned into a base fight every time there is a wipe. So what's next? Well, at this stage you ideally want to have one lane pushed all the way to the enemy base at all times, so in case of a team wipe, you and your allies can use zipline boost to get into their base quickly to either finish the match or at least give them a good scare. You also have the choice of going into the mid and downing the mid boss and getting your hands on the rejuvenator, which will make your respawn timers extremely short. This can help for both defensive and offensive reasons and purposes, as diving in and potentially dying won't end up with a whole minute of you being gone. But at the end of the day, if you apply all of the things that I just mentioned and pay attention to the map and learning each hero by putting in the hours, you will become better in no time. Just like last time, I'm putting my Steam code in the description below, and I hope to see you out there on the field, as I will be sending out invites to anyone who adds me. But until then, I've been Vermillions, and I'll see you next time. Also, I'll paint your mother like a French girl if you subscribe. Bye.